You gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of The Only Friends Podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but is not limited to, my dude, Kilbane.
Let's go.
Yeah. Kilbane. What's up?
Kill
Thanks for
the game,
intro, man.
Kilbane.
Kill the game, Bane.
Kill the game, Bane.
What's
That's right.
poppin', Henry? How you
He's
feeling?
back.
Dude, feels amazing to be back, man. Back in the studio, back on the pod, back in Vegas.
It's
you know.
been a
You came at the right time.
Really did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's been.
Shit's kind of spicy right now.
I know, it's heating up.
Hey, Henry, how's your shoulder, by the way?
It's good, bro. Thanks for asking. Yeah, fully recovered, full range of motion now.
Did you end up getting that second surgery? I know you had to go somewhere else to get surgery or something.
Yeah, they cut me up real good, put it back together.
Tell the
but it's
people
all
what
good.
you did. Tell the people what we're talking about
He
here.
done diddly fucked himself up.
Kind
That's
of.
what he did.
Yeah, I mean, I
Talk about
didn't.
it.
I was just doing the same drive that I would do every day, and some guy decided to
Somebody else
Yeah.
did.
Recklessly doing
pull
the same
out.
drive.
Nah.
Come on, bro.
Nah.
I-
Dude,
look-
I was doing the speed limit and everything. like-
Okay. I got to know you a little bit over the last year.
You drive, bro.
You're a psychopath.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
You have a
do
little
I
death
do
wish.
a lot of extreme sports? Yes, but when it comes to riding bikes in Thailand, like, that's just one thing that I won't fuck with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, even before the crash, I was.
You didn't know it was going to be an extreme sport.
I mean, every day just feels like you're rolling the dice out there. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it
pretty
seems like
bad.
there's just
So
people
sketch.
flying by and like, this is like
Yeah.
nonstop every
I
which
watched
direction.
this TikTok. Well, it was a reel. I don't have TikTok, but on Instagram Reels, it was this guy on a crotch rocket, and he's filming himself on what I assume is a GoPro, and he's listening to to George Michael. Na, 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 da, da, na, na. I can't think of the song. Whatever. Yeah, you got it. And he's singing it at the top of his lungs while going what I can only assume to be 200 miles an hour. So, and it's like a highly trafficked highway.
Careless Whisper.
Yes, Careless Whisper.
I've
He's
seen that.
screaming Careless Whisper
Yeah.
while there are just taillights flashing by like Christmas trees. And he's just weaving. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, for sure, I'm the guy going 4 miles an hour, looking down at my phone, lightly tapping the brakes to not hit the guy in front of me while I'm trying to kill time in traffic. Don't notice that this Yahoo is coming up in my blind spot. Accidentally cut a little bit too far to the left to see if I can get past traffic, and just killed motherfucker.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like,
for
I
sure.
mean, that's just a
That's
death wish.
basically what
I've seen
happened to
those
you.
guys. No, I mean, I was doing 70, which is about 45 miles an hour.
70
or so.
kilometer.
Yeah, 70 kilometers, so about 45 miles an hour. Driving down this dual carriageway, super clear vision, but I was coming over this hill, which had like a little bit of a blind spot. And the guy, just like drove out to do a U-turn in the middle of the road, didn't see me or my brother come in. His wife, who was on the back of his bike, saw us first, and I literally heard her scream before we even hit. He didn't even see me, without exaggerating, until like I was this far away from his head.
Oh,
Like,
my
I remember his face just like turning, and if you've ever seen someone like in a movie, when they like see a ghost or a monster, and their face just turns from normal to, holy
Pale
shit.
white, yeah.
And his face just dropped, and I've just gone bang. Luckily, subconsciously, like I would love to take credit for this, but I just jumped from my bike. So my bike kind of just rocketed into them. They went flying up in the air. And just before impact, and I think this actually saved my life, I just launched myself from the bike, bro. I was just like, okay, like, I don't know why, I'm just jumping. I ditched. I went flying. Everything was bliss and peaceful. And then I hit the ground, and it's like, okay, well.
And now
we're alive.
everything is broken.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. The first reaction was anger. Like, I hit the ground, and I was like, okay. I was like doing a scan, and my body was like, okay, I think I'm alive. Like, nothing feels bad. And I was like trying to like touch myself and like see if like anything was hanging off. I was like, okay, this feels okay. And because of adrenaline, like everything felt okay.
Right.
And then I've looked up and I've seen my brother. My brother was on a bike behind me, and he was just getting up off the tarmac because basically they went flying in the air. Their bike hit the ground, and he didn't have time to move out of the way. So he's gone flying into their bike, and then he's just been launched off of his bike like a good, 30, 40 yards.
Jeez.
He's scratched up everywhere, but luckily didn't break anything. He gets up off the ground, and he like looks over at me and then looks over at the two people that were on the bike. He's like, "You could have fucking killed someone. Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Dominic, bro, like, chill, man. Like, we don't need to get in a fight right now." So I've gone to like get up, and that's when I realized that, okay, you're pretty fucked up. Like, stay down,
Was it just your shoulder, or did you break anything else?
So I broke my shoulder, and so my clavicle clean. My shoulder had hairline fractures all down it, and then I didn't even know I had broken ribs until I sent the X-ray to a couple of friends. Like, it was pretty bad healthcare out there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I sent it to some buddies in Europe, and they're like, "Hey, like, the clavicle we understand, the shoulder we understand. Do you know you've got 4 broken ribs?"
Oh my God.
And I was like, "No, I had like no idea."
I mean, to be fair, they're not gonna do anything. They're just gonna wrap a ace bandage around you.
They told me to just take like deliberate deep breaths every day and just like try, like, because the biggest concern is that you don't use your lung capacity enough.
Oh yeah.
And that your ribs set in like
so
in a
then
weird
you won't
way.
never be able to like take a deep breath.
Yeah, so luckily, look, touch wood, man. The surgeons did a world-class job, and shout out to Michael Soiser and his family for taking me in.
Yeah, man. That's like my horror story.
It's great to see that you made a full recovery.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to me in a weird way, man. There's nothing as humbling as your younger brother having to shower you, having to brush your teeth for you, literally everything that you take for granted.
Right.
Michael Soiser's mum was like cutting my food for me and like feeding me food. So like when you get humbled like that and you have all of those things taken away from you, it goes one of two ways. You either fall into like the victim mentality, or you become incredibly grateful for like, one, being alive, and 2, just not taking for granted the shit that you normally do take for granted. So in a weird way,
perspective.
And now you're gonna learn how to snowboard.
Now, hang on, that's unfair. That's unfair.
Stay
I
off
was
the
trying,
slopes, buddy.
I was trying last year.
That is true. You were a little healthier though last year.
That's true. But my shoulder's stronger than ever now.
Is it though?
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of strength and conditioning with some really good trainers out in Thailand. Still not being able to like lift heavy weights, but strength and conditioning wise, honestly, man, it in a weird way, it's the best thing ever.
It's good to hear because we got a big Christmas workout plan.
We do.
I humbled his ass last year. We're gonna try to get him again. We got a great show for you guys lined up. As you can see, we are joined by the one and only Henry Kill the Game Bane. We're going to talk all things WPT Championship here to kick off the show. And then on the back end, we are going to discuss what you guys all came here for. That's the drama and the nonsense that's been going on between Nick and I for the better part of a year and a half now. I got some things to say about that, but it's not really all that important. In the meantime, don't forget, we do have an academy coming up January 15th to the 17th. That is going to be a cash academy. There are a few seats still remaining for this one. If you guys are interested, head on over to academy.solveforwhy.io. Be sure to check that out. Henry, I got to tell you, man, I don't say this lightly. I'm not one to just pass out the flowers, but you did a phenomenal job
thank you, man.
With this main event. Just
so
really, really excellent commentary. I think that you've really dialed in your voice and your ability to kind of navigate these situations where, for lack of a better word, families are watching, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, everybody on that stage, no matter how big of a professional they are, their grandma is probably going to see this.
Yep.
And I think you do a great job of bearing that in mind whenever you are giving your commentary and kind of like remaining as neutral as possible.
I was watching it with my parents. They're in town.
Appreciate
And
that,
they loved it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, like this World Championship, I needed it. Like I really needed the feeling of what this World Championship was, because I think I was becoming a little bit complacent, maybe a bit spoilt by just the opportunities that I've had from the booth, and just seeing the Twitter feeds and everyone getting involved and just how much this meant to people, the qualifiers, and just knowing that the WPT are really trying to bring back the dream, and to be a part of that and to see these guys. Okay, yeah, we had six professionals at the poker at the final table.
Kind of felt like a Triton final table, didn't it?
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, that was pretty sick. But yeah, I mean, just classic old school WPT vibes, and yeah, it's just great for poker, and to have like a front row seat to it. Yeah, it's such an honor, man. Really is.
Yeah.
I actually can't believe how lucky, maybe for lack of a better word, the WPT, the viewers, everybody involved were to get a final six of this caliber.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that, you know, we don't love to see the hero story, you know, that we wouldn't love to see some random guy from middle of nowhere Iowa make a deep run and potentially be the hero. But in lieu of that not happening, seeing 6 consummate professionals, 2 of which are like just old school legends in Mormon and Chewy, as well as like, you know, Ben Heath kind of fits that middle ground where it's like he's been around long enough where he's not new, but he's not exactly, you know, a 20-year vet like someone like Mormon who's been grinding online since 03. Top to bottom, I just thought the play was like so, I don't know, so above the rim, like so well done. And what you kind of saw, which is a little weird because I think one of the biggest criticisms of the high rollers is that it can be a little slow. It can drag a little bit, you know, things of that nature. In this particular instance, like, the majority of these guys are capable of playing high rollers. I know Chewy plays high rollers. Ben Heath plays high rollers. I'm sure Mormon's dabbled in some 25Ks. If Daniel hasn't before, he certainly will now. You know, they're all right there. But man, the speed at which they were, you know, making their decisions at this final table, the carefulness through which they were navigating spots, the amount of thought and creativity that went into some of these spots. You know, we saw the very first hand off the rip, Daniel just goes for it with a 3-bet bluff candidate where Artur is, you know, last in chips, and he's making a really tough ICM play with the King 10 of hearts, I think, where I don't know, man. I don't know enough about ICM to know if it's great, if it's a torch, or anything in between. I just know that from a viewing standpoint, I trusted the ability of everybody at that table to the degree of where if mistakes were being made, they were relatively small and they were making the viewing experience, you know, second to none as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to go down an absolute classic. And like that King 10 hand, okay, from a theory point of view, like you said, we don't know, you know, from an ICM perspective, but just having the balls.
Yeah,
right. That spot, dude.
Yeah.
He played,
that's so gangster.
Yeah, he played the win from the jump.
He did.
He really did. He's like, I'm here to win this thing, and he, you know, pulled it out in the end.
Not just final 6 as well. You know, day 6, there were some plays that he made. I think there was like a 4-bet jam against Chewy with Ace Jacko, 9 left. Yeah, and then for him to not only pull off that bluff, but then go on to win it. Yeah, you couldn't have scripted it any better, man. It was so epic to just be there for that. And like Berkey said, you know, everyone, just played tremendously.
Was there a particular hand or moment in the final 6, or maybe even like playing down to the final 6, since you did commentary over many days? Was there like one standout moment where you were just like, okay, this is kind of special? Like, this event is right up there with the WSOP main event. I think every year we always see like that one hand that just kind of stands out. And I know the King 10 has been pretty focused on in this particular event, but I'm not even so sure that this isn't just, you know, kind of it. Like, okay, this is bottom of range. We run it with this type of candidate, yada, yada, yada. There's always that one moment, though, that stands out where somebody just makes like the most disgusting hero fold. Like Artur folding Queen Jack full.
Dude.
That was insane.
Right? Like,
That was insane.
like those moments, like, did anything like that just pop out when you were in the booth?
Honestly, I can't think of one lone hand. I think the King 10 hand, because of the spot and because it's the final table, it is probably going to be the hand that we all remember. But I was even saying to Jesse and Jamie in the booth, like, coming into day 4, there was just, I don't know how to explain it, just this buzz in the room and in the booth and the energy, just like the chat. We peaked at like 38,000 concurrent viewers at one point, and it felt like it was just all lining up. I think the WPT took a big risk last year, and I think everyone was coming back this year kind of, okay, is this here to stay? Is it not to stay? You know, let's roll the dice. And I think it's very obvious that in 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're going to look back at this kind of as the beginning. I think it's here to stay.
It's here to stay.
I think
for
so.
Sure. What a great success! Like you called it a festival, and that's the whole thing. I mean, of course, culminating with the $40 million final table, but just the entire festival itself was just top to bottom amazing.
Yeah.
Huge fields for all the events.
It's true.
And it's so nice to know we have that to look forward to every winter.
The damn 3K had $1 million up top.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's wild.
As somebody who doesn't really play a ton of events, the only thing that I wonder what will change moving forward, like as far as like making this more of a marquee festival, is that like when the World Series is in town for the 6 weeks that it's here or whatever, I'm privy to every single event that's on the schedule every single day. I know that there's gonna be like 70 plus no limit events that are offered to me, and yeah, I probably won't play a lot of them because like I'm much more concerned with cash. But my point being is that the opportunity is it's kind of like bustling, and all I have to do is like, one quick Google search, and I know that I'm going to be in action for the day. For this, they smashed the fields, but it felt like 3 or 4 marquee events rather than an entire festival. And I know that that's probably selling it a little bit short because I'm sure that there were more than just 3 or 4 big events that were played. Mm-hmm. But from an outsider's perspective that didn't play many events and didn't intend to, I know about the original, was it a mystery bounty event or the
mystery bounty?
Okay, yeah. They had the Prime, the mystery bounty.
Right, the Prime, the mystery bounty, the 3K that got $1 million to first, which was insane.
Yep.
And then the 10K.
Yes.
And then obviously I know about the high rollers, but there's a huge separation there. So
$1 million buy-in.
Yeah, I try not to think about too much of the 25K, the 50K, the $1 million, because that's its own little sub economy, if you will. It's more so like, will we see a dozen events over the 17 days?
I think we did
15 events, 20 events, something like that.
I think we did see about a dozen events. Like, there's a couple smaller ones, but
yeah,
they have like the seniors event 10K. They have
those are kind of like all specialized though. Like, I understand what you're saying, that the events were there.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, if I'm a grinder, how do you keep me on property for the 17 days and keep me in action every single day?
There's room to grow, right? There's I don't think that there's a lot going on in November.
Right.
So it's like you can
that week prior.
Yeah, you can just expand it like a week backwards.
They're kind of incentivized too, especially if WSOP is going to do the Bahamas
and
again.
if it's like super, successful again, then the next year maybe they add another 4 or 5 events, and before you know it, you have 20.
For what it's worth, I'm not suggesting they should turn this into a 4 or 5 week thing.
I am.
Okay.
From a tournament grinder's perspective, I think this is absolutely enough for like to keep you come on property.
Yeah.
Like,
how many times did you go to the Venetian?
Huh?
How many times did you go to the Venetian?
Once.
Okay. How many times do you think the average 1K buying guy went to the Venetian?
Everybody that bagged the first day or something like that, they just went over to the Venetian.
I understand. I guess what I'm saying is that like I feel like there were gaps in the schedule where other properties probably picked up. And this isn't even a criticism.
No, of course.
I'm just making an observation because what I'm about to say is going to counter that to a degree. What I think that WPT does that's really unique and special that we don't see with these WSOP festivals, call it the World Series Summer or in the Bahamas, is they actually pay attention to the cash game grinder. And you saw 4 or 5 feature cash games that were incredible, top to bottom. Everything ranging from the high stakes. There were 3 high stakes cash games, 100, 200, 200, 400, and 300, 600 that turned into 3, 6, 12 that were just like marquee events. They were great. The 1, 2, and the 3, 6, 12 were a nice mix of professionals and recreationals that loved to splash around. The 2, 4 was killers. It was just like reg battling, and that's a nice change of pace too. There's a little something for everybody. 2550 creator game. We had a 2551 ladies game. Yeah. And I believe, was there one more? Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. Either way, there was at least
PLO,
5.
The 2550 PLO.
Correct, yeah. So there you go. There's 6 featured cash games.
And on top of that, they had something for, the small and mid-stakes grinders. They had the meetup game where they were giving away seats and splashing pots. And they had Phil Ivey playing 1-3.
Right.
So it's like, that was pretty cool too, to just, get something for everybody, the high rollers and the rest of the community.
They literally just create a good time for everybody over the series.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty great.
They had the ladies meetup game as well.
I thought that they crushed the series. I really do. And that's from somebody who was only, the festival. That's for somebody who was maybe only on
He's
property.
coined that phrase. You need to use it.
I may have only been on property 5 or 6 times, but even the little bit that I was there, like it was very clear what the buzz was about.
Yeah.
While we're talking about creating a good time and a fun atmosphere, what did you guys think about the Hamilton style rap to bring the guys out to the final table? You were there firsthand.
I mean, I was there firsthand. I saw the chat kind of popping off. Look, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but at the end of the day, I've got to respect Adam. And
took a shot.
Like they're trying to tap into other markets in ways that nobody else in poker is willing to do. And we're so quick as a community to quickly like shoot down these people that are taking risks. Like, okay, cool. Not your cup of tea. I get it. But at least give them credit for trying to do something different. They're trying to make this final table, this grandiose event with your music and dance acts and your walk-ins for the players. Like we're trying to go more mainstream. And I think that's what Adam's trying to do. And look,
that's great.
Again, not my thing. I want to be
that's
in
you,
the...
Isn't that you,
That's
man?
me, bro.
I mean,
that's me with my thick shoulder,
that's right. The shoulder is doing good.
But like, look, I really respect them for just trying to put on a show that people that maybe aren't into poker would watch because they're like, okay, this is like some sort of
it's
talent
Vegas,
show.
right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Vegas. This is like a show-driven city, right? Performance-driven city. And when I turned it on, I was just like, wait, what is this? What's happening right now? And by the end of the performance, I was like, that was pretty cool.
All right, you're a bit of a boomer.
I am a boomer. I am a boomer, but I was just like, okay, that's like, you could see like they're rapping about Chewy and rhyming his name, and he's just like, he's got this smile, like this is like, hey, like Chewy never thought his name would be like invoked in a rap song. I don't think. So,
before a final table that he's playing for 5.6.
I agree with Henry that I think we were way too quick to poo-poo innovation, and I do respect the fact that they tried. I also think that like these are the areas where you really need a zoomer on staff to just be like, it's cringe, Your Honor. I'm sorry. Like we can't have the Hamilton crew to come out.
It was fine.
It's fine for you, old man.
Hey,
I didn't watch it. I got to go watch it.
I think that it's one of those things where it's like you iterate. WSOP has done plenty of cringe things.
Yeah.
But I agree with you in the sense that if you're going to make a spectacle of it, if you're going to make it be the biggest thing that's happening in our quote unquote sport, it is important to start to bring in other things. And Brian's point is very valid too. This is Vegas. It's a showman's town.
Yeah.
So there's a lot available. Like, I don't know if that means 10 years down the line, we see, whoever the latest rapper or rock star is or whatever leading the charge here. But I do
see it.
Yeah, but you got to love the fact that like they're at least trying.
100%.
And honestly, I think as weird as it is, I actually think like PokerGo got this part right in bringing in Bruce Buffer, because even though in isolation, in a vacuum, like him doing the Ultimate Fighter, let's get it on, it's time thing. It's a little bit, shaky and cringy. I've actually been at events where he's done the kickoff like this. It's not that awkward because the guy loves poker. He fucking plays all the time. He gets it. So like he's not mincing words with like some buzz shit that doesn't make any sense to anybody. And the guy is truly like wildly energetic.
He is.
When he hits the mic and hits the it's time, you really feel like you're actually like at the WWE wrestling event or something along those lines.
And to that point, like they're playing for 5.6 million. Like show me sporting events where there's that kind of like that's more than Wimbledon. That's more than like the US. Like come on, man. Having someone like Bruce there introducing the FT, like if you've been to a UFC fight or any form of like an MMA, like that raises the bar in terms of energy. And to go full circle back to what you said earlier on about how many families are watching, how many older people that aren't professional poker players are watching, having the beatboxing and the dancing and all this kind of thing. Again, for us as professional poker players, sure, whatever, not our thing. We just want to see blood. We want to see Chewy check raising, But for the recreationals and the poker hobbyists, I think it's a good touch, and hopefully
I think somewhere down the line they'll find that sweet spot
for sure.
The first one out of the gate probably just isn't going to be it.
I think it's a stare down like UFC.
No.
Shout out to Coy Jordan for putting that in the chat.
Seeing Chewy and Mormon like staring each other down is not what I'm here for. While we're doling out flowers, I think that nobody deserves a bigger shout out right now than Jamie Kerstetter. I know firsthand that she ran herself ragged for this 2 weeks. literally ran herself sick.
Yeah.
I mean, this
The
is no
girl
joke.
comes in. I'm like, Jamie, you got to go home. Like, your voice is broken. She's not eating food. She's like, nah, man. Yeah, I got it. Just in the booth, 8 hours. Let's go. Like,
Right.
She's the
respect
best.
it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, when you talk about wearing many hats, like, she did everything from organizing cash games to doing the commentary herself to scheduling the commentary to getting the people to show up at some reasonable time to making sure that seats were filled, catering to the VIPs, you know, and all this is going on while there's a giant $40 million guaranteed event happening right behind the scenes that, you know, ultimately ended up coming up slightly short of the guarantee, which is something that they're going to have to consider moving forward next year. I don't think they're going to back away, though.
I don't think so either. I think if anything, they double down.
Well, I don't think they're going to make it 80.
Not 80. Come on.
That's not what he meant.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant like they might make it 45, maybe 50. I don't
make it 80.
I don't think they shy away from this one bit, and I think they welcome the
competition.
I challenge you, WPT, to
challenge.
make it 80 million. You can do it.
I really do think that they welcome the challenge.
As players, I think we are truly in for a treat in 2024. I think that WSOP summer is going to be unlike it's been for maybe a decade. I have high suspicion that we're going to see a lot of change in the mechanics of how they do things, mostly for the better. Which is kind of a long time coming. You know, we spend a lot of our summer days complaining about structures, complaining about lines, complaining about payouts, and everything else under the sun. The tech is catching up. I really think that Bahamas was a nice test run for them. I think the summer is going to go very smoothly, and that's going to bolster their brand, which is then going to lead to a big fucking showdown at the end of the year next year. 2024, December-ish, November, whatever, that holiday stretch from Thanksgiving to Christmas, I think is going to be one of the most fruitful times of the year if you're a professional poker player.
I think all of next year is going to be very fruitful.
Well, you're an
Can't
optimist.
wait.
I
You wanna
do.
I'm with
go
you.
play
I'm with
ball.
I
you,
think
Connie.
this summer is it's everything. Everything.
I can't
will be
wait. I'm
fruitful.
already thinking about putting my schedule together. How many events are we going to play?
Bro, you got to get out there and start selling the pod. Get us on the road. And you just get to go play everywhere you want to fucking play.
Oh, that's true.
You know?
It's true.
All right.
You understand
you
how
gotta
this
do.
works. WPT,
salesman
WSOP, they're
hat
both blowing up. They're trying to fucking run 1,000 events each. Just send us to fucking Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's
Whoa,
fine.
whoa. Nobody wants to go to fucking Kentucky, all right?
Oh, I'm not going to Kentucky. You guys are going to Kentucky. I'm going to be phoning in. I got a little honey pot down the road that I got to take care of.
Yeah, well, I don't want to go
Sorry,
to Kentucky,
boys.
but, you know.
I got a honey pot down the road, too.
Oh, relax.
Wow,
Okay.
He's talking about the Jewel,
Let's
baby.
relax with this fucking
Best
Jewel
place in
nonsense.
America.
Oh, man, it was popping today.
Do you guys ever think there's a chance that a lot of the Euros stop coming for like the WSOP during the summer just based off of how it's run? Like people like Steve O'Dwyer
think
don't
so.
come to the World Series, and I'm the point I'm trying to get to is like if the WPT becomes this permanent fixture and they add a bunch of events and it becomes like the winter series, if you will, and then you have all of these insane EPTs, which by the way, they're smashing records
Yeah.
every EPT.
Yep.
It's like, okay, from just a mental health point of view and overall happiness point of view, why put yourself at the World Series where it's just dust and you can go to the WPT at the Wynn and these
Well,
incredibly
Have you
well
seen
run?
how Americans play poker?
Well, I mean,
Let's
Do you
not
think they
I
want to give
saw
up on
Seppi will
that,
play, bro.
that juicy American money?
let's not downplay the series too much just because we're giving flowers to WPT. Like the WSOP is still very much the Christmas in July that we've all been waiting for. Yeah, there are some issues. Yeah, if you're European, like, and you're not in a tax treaty country, that's going to be a little bit of an issue. The travel's annoying, but there's no EPTs running alongside of it, so it's not like as if you have something else to be doing during that time. There's nearly 100 no limit events, so it's like if you're a grinder and you're trying to get in volume, where else are you going to do it?
That's true.
So if you're Steve-O, I kind of get it, right? Like you're only looking to play 100 events a year anyway. You can be pretty particular about where you play. But we also have to remember that like GG is making a really strong push to be heavily involved with WSOP. Whether they end up acquiring them somewhere down the line, who knows? But it does seem as though there's at least going to be some sort of working partnership that they've already coordinated for the Bahamas Winter Series, as well as a lot of the online series. So
and that was like a test run, it seems like, but
maybe,
and it looked like it worked.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know to the degree of like what the red tape looks like behind closed doors because it's very clear that GG's participation with WSOP is only in foreign waters, right?
Yeah.
It's all the online stuff in their territory, and then it's the Bahamas, which has nothing to do with regulated United States.
Yeah, but they did have like a lot of what do you call that? Advertisement all over WSOP
Of course.
this year.
Well, they're still partners, right?
Yeah.
So even if it's one of those things where like WSOP's licensing their name, similar to how WPT does to like Prime stops or WSOP does to circuit stops, like even if it's just to that degree, that's still incentive for GG to put a lot of money into people coming here during the summer, unless somehow they worked it out with WSOP that they run a competing online series.
Okay.
Seems relatively improbable, although there might have been some overlap last year. I think the online series started late July.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like during the post lims.
Yeah.
But you know, that's not really super relevant.
Didn't it run through like all of August, basically?
Fucking, I think it ran till like October.
Yeah, it ran for a very long time. I
Like,
remember.
it was like a quarter of the year.
It was a
lot of events.
There was a lot of birds.
There was like 63 online events in a period of time, followed by the WSOP Europe, followed by WSOP Bahamas. Like, we might reach a saturation point as well. So I don't really know. I just know that if I played MTTs for a living, suddenly I'm spending 6+ months a year just in Vegas alone.
Yeah.
And I'm getting probably 3/4 of my volume for the year within those 6 months. It's a pretty nice place to be, man.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a little less so if you're European, but for sure if you're anywhere in America, like it's a nice little trade-off, I think.
It's popping, man, and I don't know if we see it being saturated at all because people are coming out to play. Like every event is just packed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they missed the guarantee by a little bit, but like look at the Prime.
Yeah.
Prime
pop.
What?
Yeah.
Prime
Look at the
definitely popped.
3K that happened after.
The
like,
3K getting $1 million to first was just like one of the craziest things I've seen.
$6 million in the prize pool. Get out of here. It's like it's just popping. Everything is just straight popping right now.
Let's give a little bit of kudos to the final table list from yesterday's event. Big shout out to Mormon, OG of the online streets. I believe at one point in time, he may, probably not the case anymore now that high rollers exist, but I believe at one point in time, he was the most profitable player in online history.
Yeah.
I think that's now since changed with like all the 25Ks and shit that run, but still, nevertheless, the man deserves his credit. He got fourth place. Pretty unfortunate run. We watched him run a super sick bluff where it almost was like he knew.
I knew it was coming as well, man.
It's funny because we were watching it on air, and I'm just like, shove. And obviously, like, I see the cards, so that's why I want him to shove more than anything else. And Land's like, no, it's too strong. And I'm like, I don't care if it's too strong.
Let's get in the bin, Landon.
Yeah, just shove. And Nikki's like, guys, you have to fold for ICM. And I'm like, if he folds or if he calls, he loses in both scenarios.
It's
But
an
if he
illegal fold.
shoves,
Yeah.
right. But if he shoves,
That's us.
It's an illegal fold. It's Chris Mormon.
yeah, that's our reaction to him jamming there. I fucking love it. I think, you know, I don't know. I don't need to get into the details of the strategy of it. I just know the man got a lot of heart.
Yeah.
He found the rip with the naked, well, not quite naked, but like whatever. And he got a better hand to fold. And that's always appreciated. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. He found himself in a tough spot where he tried bluffing pre with King 3, I think.
Yeah.
That failed. And then he ran into a blind versus blind spot where I can't remember who was on the blind on blind, but
Georgios Soteropoulos against Mormon,
Finished
blind
second.
King, Queen,
Did
V
you
Queen.
just say this name correctly?
can I tell you guys a secret?
Of course he knows how to say his name. He was commentating the
No, I'll tell you how I know how to say that is because
Say it again.
He-
I want to hear you
practice.
say it again.
Talking about practice?
no. He came to Merit Poker in Northern
Who did?
Cyprus. Georgios Soteropoulos.
I can hear you. I can
he
listen to you
won
say
the
that all day long.
tournament, and I asked him, I was like, dude, like I have to interview you, and I don't want to butcher your name. And he, literally for like a good 30 seconds, he's like Soteropoulos. Like teaching me how to say it. So shout out to him.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how to be a senior podcaster. Little secret. I knew exactly who was in the blind on blind spot, but I also knew I wasn't going to pronounce that fucking name. I just laid it right up for old Henry. Come on, slam it home.
You can't really call him G, man.
Right, yeah, it's a little out of pocket, especially given today's show. He jammed 15 with King Queen. Mormon had a close spot with Queen Jack called. Ultimately fell to his demise. The most unfair thing that I said this when it happened. I'm not sure if someone can check me on it. I think that might have been the biggest flip in televised poker history.
Yeah.
It was a roughly.
There was never a flip like that in the main event.
I don't think for that amount.
Or Triton?
No.
I don't think for that amount. It was a $3 million flip.
Yeah.
Effectively, right?
Yeah.
Third place was 2.7. First place was 5.7.
Right.
So roughly $3 million on the line in a 52-48 spot where blind versus blind, Chewy limp 3-bets the ace king, gets jammed on by the jacks and never improves. And honestly, like, I don't even know how sick are these motherfuckers. This is a guy who's played bankroll on table so many times in my life. But it's nothing like flipping for $3 million. The other day I was buried, and at the end of the session, I was so tilted. I literally said to the table, does anybody want to flip for 60K? And I meant it when the words came out of my mouth. I fucking meant it. If someone would have called me on it, we would have flipped for 60K for sure.
You're sick.
60K, $3 million.
And also, they were like the close-up shots of Chewy and Dan. It was like they did this every day of the fucking week.
They both just accepted their fate completely.
They were super stoic throughout. Just like, it just you have 55 bigs each. Yeah, let's go.
Henry, do you know how like this is the difference right here, man? The second that it went all in call, as I was saying call, I would have been like, you want to work something out?
Yeah.
Swap 25?
Yeah,
right?
that's
like
crazy.
Anything at all to alleviate the fact that we are just coin flipping for $3 million right now.
Yeah.
I'm actually, now that you say that, I'm surprised that like nobody did.
In the moment, it probably doesn't cross your mind, but like, that would just be like, that would be a bigger focus to me than ICM. I'd be trying to work a fucking deal from like 6 all the way down to heads up.
Shout out to Brett Murray. He's the only person I ever seen do this. And it was just like on the bubble or something in Texas at the lodge.
Yeah.
And we were just getting in like 10s versus ace king. And right before the dealer puts us at the fucking flop, he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You want to swap 10?
For sure, bro.
Only person I ever seen do this shit.
For sure. And honestly, like, you almost don't want to do it because you feel like you're giving some power to the flip. Right. It's like, I'm not going to win this fucking thing because I'm the one suggesting the goddamn swap. But it doesn't matter. Like, that's not how the math works. If you're Chewy and you look there and you're 48-52 dog, you just look at him and go, my 25 or my 26 to your 25. What do you think? What do you got for me, man? Like, we got to take some money off the table here, bro. I ain't trying to go out like this. One of us is winning this fucking tournament the second that this hand culminates. And honestly, that almost didn't happen. So Chewy ends up losing that. We see an 11-1 chip lead go into heads up.
Not immediately.
Oh, okay.
Right.
He's 6-1.
It was a 4.5 to 1 chip
Okay.
lead. Yeah, it was 320 to 80 at the start of heads up.
Okay, and then he got him all the way down to 11-1.
And then Dan just starts spanking him. Yeah.
Yeah. They take a break. I think they decided to not chop at that point. They came back, and it went double-double.
No, they went double. Then they took the break. Right?
Oh, okay.
It went double. Then they looked at numbers because we were only meant we were meant to be playing, and they both wanted a break. It was obvious as to why the producers were telling us it's only going to be 5 minutes. Matt Savage said to them, "You've only got 5 minutes," but then the producers in our headset were like, "You've got 25 minutes, guys." So it was obvious that they were talking numbers. That was after the King Deuce hero call against the 7-5.
Yep.
And then we go into break, come back, and then Georgios just hits the ground running straight away.
So it looked like the deal that they worked out was they took $500,000 off the top and saved it for second. I think that first ended up being 5.2 and change.
Correct.
Second ended up being like
4.1
or 4.1 and change.
Like that,
So they ended up playing heads up for $1 million instead of 2.
Still a lot.
Significant. Yeah. It's very significant. And it looked like the whole match was going to swing. And no sooner did my guy
Georgios Soteropoulos.
That's right. Say it again. No sooner did he take a chip lead than the fucking match ends. 3 hands later, it's just over.
It was wild. I know he takes the chip lead, and it was just
heads up is a nasty beast, man.
It was so wild to see him come all the way back,
and he looked unflappable. Both of them did to some degree, you know?
Right.
But he ran it against Daniel in a spot where Daniel flopped top and bottom with Jack Deuce.
Yeah.
And it ran out pretty poorly for him. I think he put a one-liner.
Jack 9 Deuce 10-7.
Yes, a one-liner to the 8. And you could just see that it wasn't that Daniel was like beaten down by the moment or anything along those lines, but it was just he knows it's a theoretical call, probably a high frequency. It might mix. I'm not sure. but he just knows that like inherently this hand is supposed to call a lot, and he had just lost a bunch of hands in a row.
Yeah.
So rather than letting the hands have the past kind of like weigh on him, he just gave into his fuck it. He just gave into like, I'm not going to start questioning myself now. Like, this hand is just supposed to call a lot. He has bluffs. Boom. Snap call.
Literally snapped.
Just
we
like,
didn't even
no
have
thought.
time in the booth.
Yeah,
It was
just
crazy.
no thought. Just like, boom, call. And it's like, tap, tap. You got it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's kind of wild, too, because Polychronopoulos, it's the only Greek name I know. I'm sorry.
Cool and Gio.
Gio actually turned top pair into a bluff there, which was a little strange, a little mergy.
Yeah, I'd rather do it with like Queen 10, but at the end of the day, I'm in the booth. He's out there, you know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think that, you know, every situation where you're bluffing, you could find a better candidate, barring having like the premier one.
Right.
It's more so just like, is this hand too strong to bluff kind of thing?
That's
And-
exactly what I said to Jesse as well, yeah.
Yeah, and who knows? I'm not one to second guess. Again, I don't know shit about heads up, especially heads up sit and go strategy. Like, not even going to pretend to delve into this one strategy-wise.
I want to cut you off real quick. We gave Henry his flowers, but Jesse absolutely fucking
Smashed it.
killed
Yeah.
it on these streams these last couple of
That
days.
was the most I've ever seen Jesse pay attention to anything that's going on in 15 years of knowing him.
No, he was huge morale, and like coming into the day, every day, he was just like, yo, I'm pumped for this, like, let's go. And to have someone like him, who at the level that he's at, not have any ego. I don't need to name any names, but there are so many people that get opportunities to come into the booth, and all they want to do is flex their theory
How
knowledge.
much they know.
Who are we talking about?
They're not around anymore, you know, like they don't get the opportunities anymore. But
Just call Melissa out, bro.
That's just mean.
You just want to go after Poo Dog. You know, you
why is
don't wanna
Melissa
have it.
catching strays?
Because she's not fucking here, Henry. And that's the rules of the podcast. Landon's next.
God, could you imagine Landon in there with his theory knowledge?
I know, right?
He'd be flexing nonstop.
But Jesse just really aware of the audience. Similarly to you, you know, he knows that 99% of the demographic are just, you know, families and friends and just poker fans. There's no need to be in there, you know, flexing, and he crushed it, man.
He
like,
really did.
I
The way
really
he
enjoyed working
breaks
with him.
everything down. It's so palatable.
I really
Amazing,
enjoyed the little bits of banter, very reminiscent of Nick and Ali, where he would just kind of catch you laying a joke out, but like he'd catch it a little too late. There was one, I can't remember exactly
Curious
what it was.
George?
Yeah. He goes, did you just call him Curious George? This was like minutes later.
It was like a
Like,
minute
just
later. and I
let it,
was-
just let it happen.
Exactly.
Man. Just
I was
let it
like,
happen.
dude, like, come on. You know, you can't point it out. It's
Right.
like dissecting a
Right.
frog. You know,
Yeah.
come on, man.
And then he tiptoed for so long. He's like, well, when you are digging for gold, you know, you can't just lock up the mine. You got to tell somebody about it. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate it because I didn't catch it the first time around. But God damn it, Curious George is the right nickname for this man.
Yeah.
I-
No, Jesse
I'm a big
crushed
fan.
it, man. And hopefully we're going to be doing more work together in 2024. I think, yeah, we have the rapport, we have the good banter, and we understand each other well enough to like know when to bring it back to the action. And the feedback was amazing, man. Like really appreciate everyone.
I for one became a fan again of just like watching poker. I don't like to do too much of it. I was obviously dialed into the high stakes cash game because I was waiting for my fucking seat. So it's like I might as well scout these guys a little bit while I'm folding away my main event seat that I have no goddamn shot on. And it was like, you know, I thought your commentary on that was incredibly good as well. Getting to watch this main event play down, the production was just like next fucking level. You know, I know we talk about like a lot of the live streams and those guys at Hustler that we're unfortunately going to spend the rest of the show talking about are always puffing their chest about how great their production is and how, you know, they have to do it the way that they do it because it's the best way and it's what produces. Share Hands is top fucking notch.
Yeah.
Like they are world class at what they do with the live streams and getting it all out there. And it's like they're running no peak, you know. They're not
sharing hands.
I mean, no, it comes as no surprise as I mean, they're hired by pretty much everyone in the business now. They do all of the Triton stuff, the WPT stuff, Merit, Australia, Vietnam. Like it's crazy how far they spread their wings around
Did they
the
do
world.
Poker Stars as well in the Bahamas? I thought that was them.
I think they do.
I want to
I'm
say
pretty
they
positive
definitely
they
did.
do.
Actually, the NAPT.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty
I'm
confident.
not sure.
I'm pretty confident, especially because I'm not even sure who else would do it.
But
Yeah,
shout out Pauls and Victors. No, I'm fairly sure Stars have their own in-house production.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm fairly confident.
Okay,
that
you
that's
could be right.
James Hartigan's productions.
I probably should know that because I feel like we were in contact with them when we were down there doing the pod. But yeah, I really don't know.
I could have sworn long hair. Oh man, what do they call him? Oh my God, the long blonde haired kid that works for Share Hands. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. What's his name? Oh my
I don't know,
God.
this is going the wrong
forgot
This
his
direction.
happened that
name.
night that he got really drunk.
No, damn it. I could have sworn I saw him in the Bahamas.
All right. Well,
Anyway.
anyway.
What's his name?
The production was amazing. Really, nothing bad to really say about this entire feature. I know that the structure for the main event was kind of called into question. There was like a couple levels skipped on day one, and now it's more of a debate of like, would you rather? And I think Savage threw out a few options of play 11 levels instead of 10. Which would then add back in the 25-5 level, I believe, or something along those lines. Maybe it was
the
1500 level.
2500 level.
Oh, yeah,
was
sorry.
skipped,
So the
right?
1K
so it went from
25
2K to 3K.
Right. So he basically said we can add that back in. You can play 11 levels. We can add that back in and start a level later. So I think 3.6 instead of 3.5. Or we can leave it as is.
Leave it as is, man. It's so good.
I voted
like
for leave it as is.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't mind if they played 11 levels but started an hour earlier. What I don't want to see is them start or end an hour later.
Right, especially for the last flight, then have to come in then the next day.
I do think it's very important for everybody to understand though that it's critical to the event for how slow and long and drawn out the remaining 5 days are. That day one gets them down to 25% of the field or 35.
about a third. Yeah,
whatever
Right.
it was. It's very critical both to the guarantee, to the structure for the
Right.
rest of the event. Like everything that Savage has put into this event is very calculated and thought out. It wasn't an accident. Like he's
course
aware
not.
that level's not there.
Of course.
He's doing it with a purpose. The only thing that I think should really be debated is, do we make this a one re-entry or not? Or do we add a fifth starting flight or not?
You mean per day, one reentry?
Correct.
Yeah.
So essentially, like, do we add more bullets for people to fire, or are we content with it as it stands? That type of thing. I think that's where the real debate comes in, mainly just because they barely missed the guarantee. So like, it's worthy of discussion.
I like the no reentry per flight. So if you want to add another flight, I think that's fine. But it just, I don't know. It gives it more prestige some way where you're, you get that one bullet per day and that's it.
It's pretty dope that they didn't add an extra flight this year.
All hell would have broke loose if they last minute added a flight.
I mean, everybody else does
But
it.
we're not going to let that fly.
Everybody else does the shit.
I'm glad you said that because I think this will carry us into the rest of the conversation. But I think that it's believed that we have some sort of, agenda whenever it comes to like who we're critical of, who we give flowers to, and that type of stuff. But it's like, I would hope that if you went back to the first show that we did all the way up until now, a lot of the talking points that we're critical of are still the same, right? It's generally going to be the operators who do things to take advantage of the customer. It's going to be cheating and nefarious activity that hurts everybody in the community, whether it's the players, the operators, or anything in between. And then it's going to be, people that just treat others poorly and or doing things to take advantage of others in some sort of capacity. Like those are generally going to be the targets of any sort of daggers that we have to throw. And when it comes to the flowers, it's going to be the people that are doing things great, the people who perform at a very high level with their craft, the people who are putting on a great festival or series for everybody to be involved in, the content creators, the streamers, the platforms that are showing up day in and day out, putting out a high quality product for us to consume and for the industry to grow from. I don't think that we've budged very far off of that messaging. It just so happens that there tends to be a bit of a collective that catches a lot more strays than others. And it's like, well, that's not my fault. If you're on the outside circle of Ali, you're probably going to get a lot of fucking strays thrown your way because for the last year, this guy has found a way to keep getting himself back into the online streets and find ways to cheat them. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, of course. Like if you're in his arena or a counterpart thereof, like you're probably going to get some strays thrown your way, you know? And it carries us into this HCL stuff because for better or for worse, like nobody's ever going to question what they've done for stream poker. Like it's abundantly clear that they put out a product that was sorely needed in the space and that nobody has really been able to rival on a 5-day week basis. PokerGo obviously has significantly higher production value. They're able to bring in a lot bigger names on the regular whenever they run their stuff, but they're only doing it like quarterly. You know, they're mostly recording, they're mostly putting it behind a paywall. A little bit of it's live streamed, but it's two totally different lanes. Same thing with share hands. Sure, they're live streaming a lot more, but they're mostly just fixated on these big live tournament stops. And if a cash game happens to pop off, they get these nice one-offs. And they're huge one-offs. You know, the Triton cash game that just happened recently, I think it was either 1K, 2K or 1K, 2K, 4K, the one with Santos, Rob Young, and others. It's like, you know, that's a massive fucking game that's going to draw in tons of viewership.
That's all post-production, though. We don't even stream that.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we do all of that post-edit, post-festival. So we film it whilst we're there, but then we don't actually release it live.
Is that new to this stop, or was that always the case?
No, that's probably this year. I want to say it's been like from this year.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
because I felt like that biggest pot that Kuhn played.
Yes,
I guess like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was live, right?
I thought that was live.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure back then at least, because they were working with the casino. It's probably a lot different. Where were you guys just at? London?
Yeah, it just depends on the whole setup.
That setup was for sure in like just a mansion somewhere, if I recall correctly.
The recent one.
Fair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fair. Whatever. My point is, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it was at. My point is, it wasn't like in a casino. It wasn't a part of the gaming floor.
Sure thing, Berkey. Yeah.
Okay.
It's wherever the fuck you want it to be.
Yeah. Whatever.
Where do you want it to be? Hey.
I'm saying it makes more sense to record. Anyway, the whole point I'm trying to make is that these products are not the same as Hustler Live, and they shouldn't be compared. It's not fair to Hustler, and it's also not fair to the other guys who aren't putting out the same level of volume. Right. But what is fair, I think, is a lot of the criticisms that have been thrown the direction of Hustler, because they're not the only 5-day-a-week live stream, but they are the only 5-day-a-week live stream that's come under scrutiny time and time again over the past 18 months. Whether we're talking about Jack 4 or we're talking about their protocols of operation prior and post scandal, or we're talking about just the collective people that continually keep showing up in our timeline in some sort of capacity when it comes to something nefarious, being cheated, being a part of some other scandal, being held hostage, or whatever the fuck was happening to Blank Check Ben, being scammed, and everything in between. It keeps being the same names and the same group that pops up. So of course we're going to fucking talk about it. And it's one of those things where it's like, I totally understand that if you're a part of that group, you don't like to be talked about. And that's completely reasonable. I wouldn't want my dirty laundry being aired either. But when you have a guy coming out and tweeting every fucking day about how the other guy that he plays with is a scumbag and is extorting him and all this other stuff, only to find out that they were both being extorted by a third party somewhere off in London, then yeah, like we're going to fucking talk about it, man. You know, like how can we not? Shit is happening, right? When you have another guy who was a regular for the better part of 18 months, find out that like he's potentially a part of an 8-figure cheating ring happening in LA home games, and he's now disappeared off into the ether. Like, yeah, we're going to fucking talk about it. And like, we're going to connect the dots as best we can, because guess what? Your track record's not that fucking good. You know, and you're asking us to trust you implicitly that you're doing everything above board and that we don't have to be concerned about the players who are bringing their hard-earned cash to play on your felt. Now, I'm saying all this as to preempt the shit that I'm going to basically talk on Vertucci, because because I want it to be known that like I don't actually have anything with him, right? It's like one of those things where if I want to lay the timeline of how this happened, effectively all it boils down to is that I'm not the type of person to mince words, and Vertucci's very fucking soft. He gets butthurt about anything that is critical said about him. This dates all the way back to Live at the Bike. So in 2018, I think it was, maybe, we played a pot together on the first quote-unquote $1 million cash game. And what that meant was we were all buying in for $100,000. There was going to be $1 million on the table. I ran a line versus him where I check raised on like 997 or something to 998, something to that effect, with a hand like Jack 8 or Jack 7. I had a gut shot. And I triple it off. And it was a 3-bet pot in a spot where like I was confident at the time that Nick did not 3-bet hands that contained a 9. And I thought that by the end, if I put them all in for I think we were playing 100, 200, and you know, I jammed river for like 50 or 60K. Like if I try to play 1,000 big blind pot with him, he's going to fold an overpair. And sure as shit, he folded aces. And what we arrived at, I basically, you know, Poker News hit me up and said like, will you give a quick 2-minute breakdown of like what happened, what you were thinking? And I basically just said like, at the end of the day, I don't think he has a 9 here, which means that he's just going to fold range. And anytime that you're a poker player and you can position somebody into a corner where through your aggression, you can get them to fold their entire fucking range, you just do it. You just do it because you print infinite big blinds. Mm-hmm. You just make infinite money. And the thing is, he folded aces. So my presumption was correct. There was nothing made up here. There was no personal attack at him. There was nothing false being stated. It was just a simple observation of somebody who had a leak in their game and it was being brought out to the public. Now, was this malicious? No. I was asked by a news outlet to give my thoughts. I'm an instructor for a training site. Seemed like a good opportunity to break down a fucking hand. What was the end result? Vertucci goes on a 3-week-long podcast tour where he does 3 hours on Ingram about what a piece of shit I am. Because his fucking feelings are hurt because he folded aces on a 997 board. Are we serious here? Is this real life? All of this carries forward now, years into the fucking future, where every time that I bring up some area where I think Hustler could do better as a stream house, as a production house, whatever the case may be, I have some axe to grind with Nick. It's like, bro, I don't care about you enough to have an axe to grind. I'm sorry that your feelings get hurt, but I'm not the one making shit up. And that's the weird thing with the direction that this is taken. He keeps accusing me of lying on the mic. Him and all of his cohorts. Danielle Moon Anderson came out and she tried to obliterate me, saying that like I'm dead wrong about everything. And when I asked for specific examples, she didn't have a single one. She just said, well, I don't watch the show, but people have told me that you talk out of your ass.
To be fair, they're not connected.
Well, yeah, they are. She runs she's a big part of the Hustler app game.
Didn't know that. Okay, go on.
Okay, now you know. It's not an accident that the same fucking people are coming out talking. So what happens? Feldman jumps in the thread and he says, well, I think she's taking offense to you saying that Alex Ding is a scumbag. And it's like, well, he's a noted fucking scumbag. What do you want me to say? I didn't make this up. I've been sitting on this information for 2 years. He's run 7 figures worth of fucking grifts on people in the community. He's cheated people in fake heads up matches. He's done a bunch of other things. Like, you put your ear to the ground. Just because I have my finger on the pulse of what's going on doesn't mean that I'm the idiot. You're the idiot for not knowing any better. So what does he do? He drags me for 13 hours in tweets and then finally finds out after dozens of people flooded his DMs and said, Alex did this to me, Alex did this to me, Alex did this to me. What does he do? He DMs me and he goes, I had no idea about Alex Ding, man. You know, it sounds
DM'd
like
you.
He DM'd me because that's private and nobody's going to know about that. And he goes, I had the darndest things happen out there in that world. You know, it's like Alex has always been good to me. So I thought I needed to jump in there and defend him, but I had no idea. It's like, oh, you're going to say this to me privately? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Now, he wanted to reach out personally to
you. Right, yeah. No, he wanted to have a one-on-one, but never ever walk anything back in the public light, right?
No, of course.
And that's what this whole fucking collective does. They all got beef. Airball comes out and says, like, oh, I'll make an exception. I'll play Berkey where I know that he's selling, but, like, anybody else who wants to play me, they have to have 100% of their own action because I have 100% of my own action. You know what just came out? Mars had a huge chunk of him in his heads-up match versus me. Hey. The HCL Collective had a huge chunk of him in his heads-up match against me. He sold 40%.
How'd that work out?
Well, it seems like they're all a little bit fucking salty because they lost $400K collectively. Mm-hmm. You know? So whenever Vertucci's the one saying that I'm clouding the facts and that I don't tell the fucking truth, I want to know what truth he's fucking talking about. He said I lost $800,000 straight on Live at the Bike. Show me the receipts. Show me the receipts. I'm down $400K on Live at the Bike lifetime, and it's because I lost $400,000 over 2 days playing 501K 2K against person.
So
where's the rest?
You lost 200 big blinds?
Yeah, 200 big blinds, Conrad.
How fucking dare you?
How dare I?
I'm sorry,
awful.
bro.
How fucking dare I?
It's all over for you.
Where is the 800K downswing? You know what happened whenever I took the voice recording of him saying this on a space, tweeted it out publicly, and said, "You of all people should know." Because at the time, I didn't have the context that he was talking about the bike. I thought he was talking about HCL. I said, "You of all people should know, I've played HCL 3 times, and I'm up just shy of 500,000, which is true." You know what he said? Berkey's a liar. He manipulates the conversation. I was talking about Live at the Bike where he lost 800K straight. It's like, oh, okay. Where did I lose 800K straight on Live at the Bike? Then show me those receipts. What does he do? He says, "You were wrong. You said it was Hustler." Because that's what he fucking does. He's a Trumpian. He just sits here and he tries to spin and spin and spin and spin until he gets the narrative all the way back in his corner because he's soft as fuck, man. His feelings are hurt. He's a little goddamn crybaby. And you know who went in today and eviscerated him over this shit?
The G-Man.
Was Garrett. Garrett just goes into spaces and he keeps trying to reposition the crowd into a way where it's like, no, I'm the victim here, man. I'm the one that people keep throwing daggers at, and all I'm trying to do is provide you with a little entertainment. I'm just trying to get this stream off the ground, you know? And you got these haters here. They're trying to make HCL cease to exist. They're trying to tear us down. Well, you won't let that happen, will you? No. Throw up a chant for HCL and make sure you support us because you're part of the family.
Gotta be loyal.
What does Garrett say? Shut the fuck up, man. You're full of shit. You're just full of shit. You're just saying a bunch of stuff because you never give any specifics. While everybody else is sticking their neck out to make sure that the community's protected and that shit actually goes down the right way. So what are we out here doing? We're out here actually calling out scumbags and cheaters. We're out here digging into the Ali cheating ring. We're out here doing our damnedest to find out who's RTAing, to try to put some level of pressure on operators. We're out here calling out the stream security at HCL during the Jack 4. How much time did I spend saying that Robbie did or didn't cheat? In all honesty. Right?
Well, you were more on the security side.
100%.
I on the other side. I got some shit to talk.
Right.
Fine.
But we all had our own opinions on the show, and what you led into was the security.
Exactly.
You led into security.
You didn't really care about
Guapo was out there fighting for Robbie.
Still is.
Still is, bro.
Still is.
Shout out to my guy who's holding up a sign saying, "Garrett, give the money back." You know, it's Guap.
Yeah.
It's fucking El Guapito. But yes, we probably did 100 hours of coverage on Jack 4. And like 95 of it was me saying, get your shit in order. It's abundantly clear that you do not have a secure stream house and you have millions of dollars trading hands on the fucking table. What are we doing here? And he's upset about that. He's upset about that. It's insane. What are we talking about? So now bring us to current day. What happens? Well, he's running his mouth on space as usual. He's upset. All I did was compliment the fucking guy. He had a heated blow-up reaction about Garrett and Jack 4 on his own podcast. So he keeps saying now, like, why are we talking about this a year and a half later? Why do you guys keep bringing it up? Why, you guys just want the attention, yada, yada. No one fucking brought it up but you, man. You went on your pod and you eviscerated Garrett and you said that it's the lack of loyalty that disgusts you. It's not that Garrett believes he's cheated. It's not that anybody is calling Hustler's security into question or anything like that. It's the fact that everybody keeps digging their heels into what their opinion is, and in his eyes, their opinions are wrong and disaligned with quote-unquote supporting the family.
Why is anybody supposed to be loyal?
That's what I'd like to know, Conrad.
That's what I'm just trying to figure out.
Are we on the payroll?
I didn't know if we were.
Right? Like, I get it. He thinks he did Garrett a lot of favors, I imagine.
Yeah, it seems
right?
that way.
Which maybe he did. Maybe Garrett did earn a lot of money through Hustler and indirectly through Nick supporting him.
Or Nick playing.
But if he truly believes that Garrett is right to think that he was cheated, which Nick kind of implied, why on earth does he think that Garrett owes him some level of courtesy where he continues to believe he was cheated, which could only happen due to a compromised stream.
Yep.
But he also wants Garrett's support in getting to the bottom of this or securing the stream.
Or working hand in hand together.
Right, working. Like, what the fuck does that even mean, man?
We can work on this investigation together.
And this is the thing. He hears buzzwords and he takes them how he wants to interpret them. So I had some clips from the space sent to me. There was a point where Garrett said, I would have to be less than 70 IQ to think what I think and then want to work alongside Nick. Yeah. And Vertucci comes on and goes, why you gonna call me stupid, man?
Well, I think he said that to trust Nick.
Yeah, fine.
You have to have less than 70 IQ.
So Nick hears, I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Which is not what was being said at all.
Yeah.
Right.
And Garrett goes, I didn't call you stupid at all. I just said I would have to be stupid to trust you. Nobody fucking trusts you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Everything's a spin job, right? Everything is a repositioning of what is actually believed by the people who are speaking out. And again, like, I could give a fuck less if Hustler became the biggest stream house in the world. Hell, I'm here for it, man. It's only good for poker if it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to see Nick fail at this point. But yeah, sure, it's good for poker.
Sure, rightfully so. Like, maybe Hustler becomes the biggest stream house in the world because Gigi buys them and Ryan and Nick ride off into the sunset. Who knows? Who cares? I truly do not care. But what I do care about is that there are people that are industry leaders that are looked to from some part of the audience and believed to be trustworthy and reasonable humans who will tell you the truth. And as far as I can tell, not a single word out of Nick's mouth is even remotely close to truthful. It's his version of the truth after it's run through his emotional brain that reconfigures everything to him being the one who's being called out. The tweet I put out that spurned all of this was, this is actually one of the best shows Nick has done since starting his pod. I'll say this, though. It's understandable why Nick is so passionate about the daggers thrown his way. What I think he's missing is the responsibility the stream house bears. There's clear confusion in his belief that my stance is HCL cheated someone. In reality, I feel management failed in their responsibilities to own and operate a secure stream and continued to double and triple down that they had no involvement even after they were shown to be negligent.
Yeah, so he's upset that because he takes that as, I'm not like nefarious, I'm incompetent. Right, so that's what.
I mean, you can take
that's
it as you want.
Right, and I think that's
what would you rather be?
Right,
pick your fucking poison.
I don't know, right? But it's that's kind of like he's like, well, he's just calling us incompetent over here.
Here's the thing: his competency was called into question the night Jack 4 happened, and we were able to then backtrack and realize that they did not coherently put together a well-run stream. Right? His competency's not getting called into question now. It's his ability to dig in to the fact that they were never incompetent to begin with. To dig into the fact that if something happened that fateful night, they had nothing to do with it. And that's the point that I'm trying to hammer down on, is like, you don't get to shirk that responsibility. If something happened on your stream, under your watch, even if you had nothing to fucking do with it, you are goddamn responsible. And this is, you see this happening time and time again when he shirks responsibility of Brian, who was a fucking employee.
Right.
Either he was a thief who stole $15K off Robbie Stack, or he was involved in some capacity and was taking a payoff. But either way, it's impossible as the stream house to say that you had nothing to do with that. Of course you did. You fucking employed him.
Yeah, you hired the person.
You hired him. He calls himself a leader all the time. That's like the most laughable sentence I've ever heard in my life. Mm-hmm. Extreme leadership is taking ownership over the thing that it is that you lead.
Only the best people. I hire only the best people.
He's so Trump, bro. He's so Trump. He's so Trump. It's so hard not to see the parallels.
Yeah.
So we're going to play a clip for you real quick. This came from the space. I think it was from like a week ago or so, where Nick goes in and tries to claim that I'm a failed streamer, which he doesn't even know what streamer means. Like, streamers are people who stream poker on Twitch and YouTube while they play, man. Okay, you're a stream house. You stream live games at a casino for the general public to play in that's semi-private and I guess invite only.
You actually did pretty good as a streamer in COVID.
My numbers were great, man.
Your shit was popping.
Yo, not as good as ours, though, bro.
I see you. I see you.
We were crushing it.
That Overbet Express is nice. We need to bring that back. But anyway, to set up the context of this, basically a year and a half ago, WPT asked us to do a live stream cash game for them very last minute. less than 24 hours to get it off the ground. It was during the World Series summer. There were a bunch of creators in town. It was supposed to be Mr. Beast, along with Ivy, some of the chess creators, and some of the gamers. I'll let you listen to the clip, and then I'll dig through it and explain to you guys just how dead fucking wrong he is about what he's saying.
He tried, you know,
They
within
did
the
that
studio.
after did they do that after?
Yeah, that was after. Yeah.
That was the WPT fail. So this is the thing that, you know, doesn't get out there. I've said it a few times when Berkey's been ramping up just to needle him, but you know, he tried a couple times before that and it was a disaster. And then WPT somehow, because, you know, Berkey's tied in with what's that guy's name that works at Faded Spade? I can never remember his fucking name.
Oh,
anyway,
Tom whatever.
yeah, Tom
right?
Tom Wheaton. Yeah. So they're buddies, and there's a lot of friendships going on over there. So Berkey got an opportunity to run this game in his, you know, in his basement with his, you know, because he has a pod set up with a table and a streaming thing set up and all that. It was a complete disaster. Like you said, the audio, it was shutting off. And by the way, they were running fucking trains through the production room, by the way, like per an inside person from the WPT. There was like zero security, what was going on there, the way it was set up. But it just didn't go well, and they were very upset. And I think it was an embarrassment to WPT. I do not think that that's a reflection on if Mr. Beast would come back or not, because he had a great time and it went very well.
So you don't think that like something like that where the production value is so bad and you have these people that are like very focused on like the creation aspect of it, that something like that wouldn't sour them for the future? Like,
well,
because I mean it was literally, quite literally, one of the worst things that probably has happened for poker, like, you know, within the top 100. I'm not saying like actually
I'm not going to say who, but my rep who I work with at WPT I'm very close with, they were besides themselves pissed off about how it went. It was a big opportunity lost. But to your question, I can't say for sure because I'm not in Mr. Beast's head, but I don't see how the correlation could be, because he did come on our show and it was a huge success and production was perfect and he had a blast. And
wasn't that before that though, or am I remembering?
Yeah, it was before that. But
right. That's what I'm saying. So like, I don't know. It's like another live stream in poker, and it was a nightmare. So it's like, it sucks for you guys because like, had they just went through Hustler again and it was a great success, like it would have been, then we'd have a completely different. Like in my eyes, you know, the ball would still be rolling down the hill instead of, you know, now you got rolling up the hill.
I don't think it would stop him because we're two separate entities and he had a great experience. But let's just say somehow that lined up. I don't know if that's true.
Hey, Nick, and shout out to Berkey and Solve the Why. Good for them. How does WPT do on your streams? I think they're very happy with all the stuff that they sponsor with you guys. I'm just, again, shout out to Berkey. I'm sure they're doing great for WPT. How about in your world? How is WPT feeling in your world? I'm just curious.
Yeah, they feel pretty good. They use, per our contract, a ton of our content that they put on their channel, which is doing very well. We use their ambassadors that love to come and play. That's part of the contract. And then, they're advertising on the felt and running commercials on the #1 poker show in the world. So I think they're happy. You know, there's no complaints. We work well together. I mean, I know what bit you're doing, but I'm just like leaning into answering. I'm leaning into answering.
I'm not doing a bit. I'm just
well, you know what I mean.
No, it's not a bit. It's not at all cringe. What I'm listening to, not at all.
I answered honestly, but I understood where I was at.
Definitely not cringe.
Eden, Nick knows the elements. He knows what's going on. He knows the innuendos. You know, he's baked. All right, go.
I just know the cringe and the based when it comes to bits. That's all I'm good for. On the Vertucci /HCL Shenanigans special space, hosted by the Nick Vertucci Show. Doing some rapid fire podcasts coming up, so stay tuned for those.
A buddy of mine was cheated out of a poker game in the Valley in Encino, and I heard they're blaming HCL for that. HCL gets blamed for everything, by the way.
Obviously, there's a lot to unpack there. So did we run a stream for WPT creators? Absolutely. Was it a disaster? 100% it was. There was zero getting around that. to give the backstory that Nick didn't give, number one, Hustler was never an option. This took place during the WSOP. It needed to be in Vegas. And the initial potential working together, I believe, was about 72 hours prior to the day that they were trying to run it. Now, the whole game was supposedly built around Mr. Beast. I can't remember what other gamers were there, but it was a couple of the guys that
Magnus.
were on. Oh, yeah, that's right. Magnus Carlson was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of the gamers that were on the
Botez sisters were there.
Right. And then a couple of the gamers from the Hustler stream were there. So it was going to be a collaboration with the Botez sisters. It was going to go out on their Twitch channel as well as all the WPT channels. And essentially, they reached out to us 72 hours prior and said, like, is your studio available? Can you guys make this happen? And we answered with a resounding no shot. Literally no chance. We have only run one live stream event ever. And it was in 2017. It was the Heads Up Challenge that we did in coordination with Run It Up and Jay Carver. And we spent about a month preparing for that. Getting everything in order, getting the production team together, making sure that we were able to staff it, that we were able to, troubleshoot all of the audio, the commentary. We ran a dynamic delay on that, which was at the time revolutionary. Shout out to Andre. He was one of the first to do it. It was a lot of hoops to jump through to ensure that we had a seamless stream, and it went off without a hitch. We were really proud of that event. It was fantastic. We wanted to keep bringing it back. It might have been 2018. But anyway, COVID didn't allow for that. So we ended up canceling it. We haven't revisited since because live streaming just took off in its own right.
You can watch it for free at softwarewide.io.
Thank you, LaManager. But it took off, or live streaming took off in its own direction. It became its own market space. And it wasn't one that I had any intention ever in competing in because from my perspective, there isn't very much meat on the bone. It makes sense for someone like Doug at the Lodge because it promotes his business. It makes sense for someone like Ryan and Nick because they have a production studio, I guess, that they're licensing to Hustler and they're getting paid some amount to do so. It doesn't make sense to an independent body to run it out of the basement of a studio in Vegas when you're already up against a bunch of casino streamed games. Like there's nothing that we can offer as a home game that the casino can't do better. We have less security. We have less, ability to, handle and process payments. There's just a million reasons why you wouldn't want to consistently run a stream game out of an office building or a house or anything along those lines. So his notion that somehow like I was trying to dip my toes in the water and be a competitor are just fucking ludicrous. They're completely unfounded. When we were offered this, we just gave a resounding no. We didn't even give prices or anything. It was just like there's absolutely no chance in 2.5 days that we'll be able to get this done. So what happened? The contact that I was in touch with, who I'm assuming is the same contact that Nick is throwing under the bus now. By the way, let's just talk about that from a professionalism level. He just went on a 4.5-minute rant, throwing WPT under the bus every step of the way. Because at the end of the day, this was not a Solve for Why product. It did not go on our YouTube channel. It was a WPT product. It went on their YouTube channel. They organized the cash game. They brought in all the creators. They did, it was as much their failure as ours. We certainly share the blame, and I'm not trying to shirk a thing. No. Because we did not fucking execute. To the point where I demanded we did not get paid whenever it came down to the final negotiations. Or not even negotiations. Like we had a set amount in place, and I said, listen, we can't take payment for the product that we put out. Like, I'm embarrassed by it. We did not accomplish what we set out to do. I don't want to accept money for this. And we ended up settling on the staff got paid. So it was significantly less than what we agreed to. But, I offered the production team a lot to have them come out in short notice. Anyway, Nick just spends 4.5 minutes talking about how his contact's so embarrassed about us and the product we put out and how shitty it was and how there was no security and all this other stuff. Well, guess what? We told them all of that up front. Yep. 3 days out when we said we absolutely cannot do this, It was because we could not secure our peak room. We could not get the audio functioning in that short period of time. We couldn't get the proper camera direction. We couldn't get everything to be as high level as you would see in a stream that operates 5 days a week or a studio setup like PokerGo. So what happens? The contact then goes to PokerGo and see if they can rent the arena. They can't, because PokerGo's entire production is at the time Rio, or maybe it was the first year of the Horseshoe. I don't remember.
It was the first year.
Maybe. They were already there setting up for the main, so they couldn't do that. They tried to go to the Luxor, where WPT runs their final tables. No staff. Couldn't run it. They tried to contact, I believe, Poker Night in America, or actually they tried to here's the irony. They tried to contact Andre, because Andre had done something for this in the past. You saw Landon play on a live stream where they did it from an undisclosed area. It was like a mansion or something like that. Mm-hmm. Andre ran that entire production. It went off without a hitch, but he had like a month to prepare for it. So what did he say? Absolutely not. We cannot do this in 2 days turnaround time. Contact comes back to us and says, please, we have to capitalize on this. We have Mr. Beast. How can we make this work? And I said, if you want the studio and the equipment and you guys figure it out, by all means. I just don't want my hands attached to it. So we kicked around that idea for a little while. We went through the logistics and it became abundantly clear, like, no fucking way. Like, they weren't in a position to staff something like this. There was no way they were going to be able to get the right people. And it's like, okay, I mean, I have the people to staff it. I guess, like, let me reach out to them and see if there's any way that they can get this done in a short period of time, but you have to make it worth their while. And they're like, yeah, fine. We don't care. Like, we'll pay. We just want to get it done. So now we're like 20 hours out from the stream. I contact Travis at Pigtails and a few others and say, like, look, man, can we throw something together here that's reasonably secure? It's just a home game for these guys. They all trust each other. Like, you know, we don't have to be to the same level of protocols that you would see in a casino, because these guys aren't strangers and they know what they're signing up for. Like, we're being very upfront and forward with what we can offer. So, like, you know, our hands are kind of tied here. And they're like, it's going to be really fucking hard, but like, we'll try. So I'm like, okay. So they got out here at like 10 a.m. the next day. The stream was supposed to pop off at 7. We spent 7 hours setting up. At 6:30, we attempted to do our first like dry run to see if we could troubleshoot some things. Everything went off without a hitch. We didn't run into issues. We had some hiccups that were like, you know, with the commentary booth and everything else. Like, we had some things that were very sensitive. It was like, okay, there are some fail points here for sure, but like, let's cross our fingers and hope that it goes well. Hour into the stream or so, we lose the commentary. We just lose them completely. And now at this point, like, obviously nobody's communicated to the talent that this is all thrown together in 0 time and that, you know, there's a chance to have errors. So Andrea is going insane. She's like, my chat can't hear me. Like, they're losing their mind, blah, blah, blah. Isn't there something you guys can do? And like, we're working like madmen trying to troubleshoot this. And the funny part is that this is literally just a one-off, something that we don't do. We're trying to like build a relationship with WPT, do them a favor, put ourselves at major risk here in order to do so. And, you know, obviously it's burning right before our eyes. But the irony is the same goddamn thing happened on HCL, which is in a casino, runs 5 days a week. They're supposed to have all the fucking protocols ironed out. But 9 months into their stream, we pulled the fucking tape from Ryan telling Airball and a collection of others mid-stream to get out of the production booth.
Yep.
Because they had lost sound and their graphics were down or something along those lines. Like, they were having issues. So if he wants to talk about a train being ran through the peak room, like, this is a guy who openly had a stream that allowed the players who were playing on it to fucking walk in midstream and just shoot the shit with the producer. What the fuck are we talking about, man? And now you're going to throw your lead title sponsor under the bus because of their failure as much as ours. Right? Like, you want to fucking get me? You think you got me here? I'm never going to run another live stream again for the rest of my life. I don't give a shit.
And nor did you want to.
Right. Wait, you don't want to be a streamer? You sure, bro?
It's like, I don't give a shit, but WPT should fucking care. You know, you're bringing up, you're picking at a scab that they've all been erased from history.
Right.
You know, it's nowhere out there to be found. And at the end, it was just like a casual, like, okay, like, obviously that didn't go well, but we got the footage we wanted. Mr. Beast was never going to fucking come anyway. We got all the fucking B-roll we can handle. Nothing happened like with the actual game itself. The worst thing that happened here is we had an audience that wasn't seeing the quality of production that they're accustomed to. But guess what? 6 months later, they had Sharehands come into the fucking Wynn and just blow everybody out of the water.
Right.
And that's going to be the standard moving forward. Like, we don't have to worry about this in the future. You know, it's just not that big of a deal. And if we do worry about it in the future, we'll have adequate time. And I fucking promise you, we'll check every goddamn box in that protocol list that we've been holding you accountable to. But you still run 5 days a week, 365. Like, tighten your own fucking ship. Stop trying to find ways to drag me, because I'm critical of the fact that you have millions and millions and millions of dollars flowing through your game week in and week out, most of which seems to be coming from fucking cheated home games and people that are scumming elsewhere. You know, you have your own goddamn issues. What the hell are you so concerned about the criticisms that I'm throwing your way when they're completely fucking valid? That's what I don't understand. And that's all I got to say about that.
That's what grinds my gears.
Simmer down.
Well, it's just like,
I mean,
the WPT thing really
insane.
fucking irked me.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
It's a major brand, and it's, I know a lot of the people that are working at pretty high levels within WPT, within GG, within WSOP, within all of these major brands, and I have reasonable working relationships with most of them. And he's just trying to like poo-poo that because of some hearsay that got back to him, maybe from somebody who was frustrated that the event failed. Okay, fine. I'm frustrated about it too. But if you want to like try to throw that dirt to Vertucci as some sort of like comeback for the things that we're saying, where we're saying like, look, man, you're running $1 million streams and your ship isn't tight. You should do better. It's like, well, you ran a home game once.
Well, you tried to be a streamer.
Right, like,
you tried to be a streamer.
Apples to apples, baby.
But you failed.
Kind of the same thing. Oh, and
Don't forget about Poker Out Loud.
Exactly. That's where I was going to go next. So the other thing is, and this is so crazy, these guys listen to the podcast religiously and they still get the fucking details wrong. Apparently somebody went in the space and said that Poker Out Loud, which they're conflating with the Academy, not the same
Two
thing.
separate things.
There was a Poker Out Loud Academy. We used to have a Poker Out Loud Academy, completely separate
also
from the show.
Doesn't matter. Why would
Why
Alex Ding be at the fucking Academy?
He was not.
Okay. Not only was he not there,
he was nowhere around any of our customers.
He was trying to scout his next heads up opponent.
Probably. They also think Alex Ding is dead. He's not. I mean, he's dead from the poker community, but he's alive and well somewhere with a job trying to pay back all of the bad debt that he's accrued. So let's get a few things straight. Poker Out Loud is an educational product. It's not for profit. Nobody shows up to Poker Out Loud expecting to beat their opponents for many, many, many dollars. We're playing relatively small stakes, and the sole purpose that everyone signs up for is to be educational. It's why the lineup is tough. It's why I only get people that I have implicit trust with, and then people that they trust. So in this particular instance, Jeremiah was very good friends with Ding. I knew Ding loosely. Both of us thought that he was a reasonable human being, and we both knew that he was incredibly fucking sharp. So we thought he would have a lot to add to the Poker Out Loud dynamic. So he comes on, he beats us out of like $1,500 or $3,000, something like that.
I think it was $3K.
Okay, yeah. And then we find out later that it's pretty probable he was cheating. Now, is it easy to cheat Poker Out Loud? Of fucking course, man. We're wearing noise-canceling headphones.
We're speaking our thoughts out loud.
We're giving our strategy out loud.
Right.
Nobody's comparing this to a live-streamed poker game that has millions of dollars up for stake where no one's interested in educating anyone. Their only concern is making money, right? So, of course, the structure of Poker Out Loud is not secure. It's not meant to be.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. It's not a gambling environment. Right. It's educational, right? Like, it's also not live streamed. So nobody's getting the whole cards in real time. Nobody has access to that. Now, of course, if they turn off their headphones and I say, all right, I have queens here, and they hear that, then they're going to play fucking perfectly against that.
Yeah.
And whatever, man. Like, okay, so we got by Alex Ding for a very small number. Who does that impact? everybody on the fucking game understood the risk. 4 of them are employees of the company. One was Jeremiah, who got fucked for almost 7 figures out of Ding, and the other was Ding. You think Jeremiah is like never going to speak to me again because he lost $300 in this game? He's played Poker Out Loud since. Like, he was the one who told me he thinks Alex is very likely to have cheated us. So it's like, get your fucking shit in order. You know, I've never seen
grasping
somebody
at straws, man.
I've just never seen someone throw so many stones.
Right.
It lives in the most glass house I've ever seen built. You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So he just continues to, as you said, grasp at straws. Now he wants to call Connie a con man.
Oh my
and
God.
say that he's a fucking scumbag because when he was a dealer in underground games in New York, he was told to take rake.
It was
No
crazy.
shit.
Like, it's wild because, like, yes, actually, he had Christian on his podcast one time, like a year ago, which I never even saw till today.
Yeah.
Where he was like, yeah, he raked a lot, and I was really good at it. But, like, the truth was, it was 10% no cap. You know what 10% no cap looks like in a box over 15 hands?
A lot.
It's a lot of fucking green chips.
Yeah.
So when there's 5K pots, you're taking out 500, you have to be good with, like, making change, making it small, whatever, and just not making it noticeable. And that's why people love, like, whatever, just didn't notice. But if it was asked, it was 10% no cap.
Right.
So, like, I never did anything malicious or anything, but
right,
it was just a lot.
To be fair,
you were taking 20%, 30%, which he suggested you were
to
doing.
be fair,
that's what
I
they
watched
say.
the clip, and Christian definitely threw Conrad under the bus. He made it sound like Conrad was like very sneakily just raking the whole fucking pot.
Well, yeah, which
And
did
it was
not
like-
happen.
He basically made it sound like as if, you know, Conrad's dealing in one hand and scooping as many black chips in the other. And to be fair, like, I don't know what happened.
To be fair, I was dealing with one hand and scooping chips with the other, but it was 10%.
Okay, fine.
Like, you know,
and
like,
here's the thing.
pots
Like,
was fucking huge.
here's the thing. If you were over raking, like, I don't know if that took place or not,
Was
but
it?
I also don't care. Like, I don't care if 15 years ago in some shady fucking New York underground game, the deal or the guy running it says, I'm paying you a percentage based off of what you rake, so rake the fucking shit out of them. And you did that. I don't care because I don't think that matters. I've played in so many home games where the rake was supposed to not exist. And I've watched myself get thousands of dollars taken out of every pot. And I just turned the other way. Fucking Mike the Greek. Whenever I played that game, I got in aces versus kings for 5K each, and I got returned 9,600. Where'd the 400 go, Mike?
Yeah.
I fucking know where it went. But you're sitting in the game, so I'll accept it. You know? Like, I didn't ever pull those dealers outside and try to shake them down. They're doing their goddamn job. Right? Now, is it ethical? Who knows? It's not the dealer that you should have the concern with. It's the game runner. He's the one passing on the information. So, like, I'm not trying to give anybody a pass here, but I also just don't give a shit. If you're gonna frequent home games, like, shit's gonna happen, man.
I don't need a pass. Literally, one of the fucking guys that played the game, the lawyer Sean, came on to Twitter and was like, Conrad's never done like anything out of control. He actually like was very stand up, and that's why I continue to follow his career or whatnot. And I was like, you know, that feels good because like he was a staple in the game, and like I know I did nothing wrong. Even in like games where I just got dealt only tips only, like I just got whatever people just tipped me. I never took a fucking dollar.
Right,
not a fucking dollar.
This is Nick just trying to. I gotcha. I got you here, right? And there's nothing there, and it's just like, who is he gonna come after the tortoise next? What did
I think you burnt your brisket.
Yeah, right. He's just like, this guy's stealing fucking briskets out of the fucking meat market.
Right. That clip will absolutely be taken out of context.
Feldman actually caught some strays today too, and it wasn't even from G-Man. It was from Vertucci. On 2 separate occasions, he was saying, "Are they still okay? Are they still working together?"
Yeah.
He said that Feldman doesn't have the balls or the backbone to actually tell G-Man how he really feels about him, which seems kind of strange. Like, this is your working partner, and you're talking about him this way.
Well, he's up in his feels, man. He gets up in his feels, and then he just pops off at the mouth, and then down the line he'll just say, "Oh, I'm the kind of guy who wears my emotion on his sleeve, you know, take it or leave it."
The truth is,
yeah, it's like Garrett nailed it. He's like, the truth is that when you say the truth is, whatever is about to come out of your mouth is a fucking lie.
Yep.
Like, this guy is so full of hot air, and it's crazy that he's developed any sort of a following. But the irony is that he truly does think that he's relevant to this space. I jokingly said, enjoy the 50K extra views on your tweet whenever I quote tweeted him. And tried to pay him a compliment, mind you. I not even a compliment, but like a little bit of a I understand. It was a little bit of sympathy and empathy, where it's just like he really got hot in this podcast over the Garrett and the Jack 4 thing and how and like, you know, it's clear he feels betrayed. And I kind of just led with like, I understand how you've clouded things to believe that it's the world versus Nick. And I get that. And I understand and respect the passion that you have moving forward, because you truly are a business owner who's trying to do well, as best I can tell. But you're just grossly ignoring or not listening to the actual words that are being spoken about you. You're just taking offense for the sake of being offended, instead of actually listening to the criticisms and trying to do a little bit better. That was all my tweet said. And it turned into him just dragging the fuck out of me, bringing up the WPT thing, bringing up a million other things. So I replied again, and I said, okay, you want to call me the liar? Where's my 800K downswing on Live at the Bike? To which he replied, you said it was an 800K downswing on Hustler, and I never said that. Which I replied, okay, where's my 800 downswing on Live at the Bike? What the fuck's the difference? You're still lying. Crickets, okay? Then I said, where are the cards from the night of Jack 4? Because it wasn't in the report. And that's a very reasonable fucking thing to ask. Yeah. Like, in lieu of the Mars cheating thing, where they had a marked deck and was wearing contacts, and Robbie having these weird colored glasses, seems pretty reasonable to say, like, hey, did anybody fucking check the cards? To which he replies this weird email that I really hope Bulletproof didn't actually send. I actually hope. I hope for the sake of the Bulletproof company that Nick forged this email in some capacity. Because the last sentence of him trying to explain why the cards don't matter in poker terms is one of the most insulting things I think I've ever read.
It's a real bad call.
Yeah, it's just like, what are we talking about here, man? That she wouldn't want to flip if she was cheating. That's so irrelevant. But most importantly, nothing in this email addresses what I was questioning. Did you check to see if the cards were fucking marked? Did you run them under all the different lights that could potentially be marking them, similar to what we just saw with the Mars thing? If they're locked up in a safe right now, wouldn't it be prudent to do that again? You claim that these things are still on hand in evidence. Wouldn't it be smart to publicly just do that and demonstrate to everybody? But no. Instead, I get ridiculed and criticized because I should have known, based off of the report where they said the RFID could not have been the fail point, that the cards were fine. Well, I'm not fucking questioning the RFID, man.
Right.
I'm questioning if there was any goddamn markings on the cards, and you guys never mentioned anyone checking them. So now suddenly the manager of Hustler jumps in and says, I can confirm. I got the cards that night. I locked them up in a safe. We looked at them. Everything's on the up and up. It's like, well, you just wanted to share that information now? 15 months later? That wasn't something you thought was prudent at the fucking time? Also, since when did you guys start running through a card protocol? The last I heard, 10 months ago or 12 months ago when we were discussing this, was that the cards are in the back of the fucking production room so that if a card breaks, they can run one out. That was the last I heard about their protocol. Maybe it changed. I hope that it did. I hope that they have casino card control over it. But to assume that we just knew all of this is fucking insane. What are we talking about here, man? Who's the actual person lying here? And why? It doesn't make any fucking sense. So why do we keep bringing up Jack 4? Why does Nick's reputation keep getting thrown up? Why are all of these people constantly on the tip of our tongues? Because they're all doing shady fucking shit. And then anytime somebody questions it, they turn their spears back at you and say, no, we're the good guys. You just have your pitchforks out and you're coming to get us. I mentioned that I said, congratulations on the extra 50K views that you got on this tweet. It actually ended up being, let me get this right. He got, where's it at? God damn it. I think I closed it. It's well over 100,000 views on this tweet, which led to well over 10,000 listens on his podcast. 153,000 views. Okay? Mm-hmm. You want to know how, that's on my quote tweet. You want to know how many are on his original tweet?
How many?
170,000. So you got 17,000 organic. Okay? That's the power of my platform compared to his. You want to know how many views his podcast got this episode? this one that I quote tweeted that wasn't anything in particular, 10,000 views in 2 days. You want to know how many the one before it got? 2,800 in 6 or 7 days. Why?
I wonder.
Why? Because it got fucking amplified, you schmuck.
You
don't act like you're the fucking relevant one. Don't act like as if we're bringing your name up for clout. It's the exact opposite every single time.
Matt, you should really be careful. He's going to call you out for being on Grindr.
Show my profile. I don't give a fuck.
Let's see the receipts.
Show me a goddamn receipt. So all of this culminated with Veronica texting me and saying, would you ever come on our podcast? And I just replied, LOL. Like literally, you have got to be fucking kidding me. How on earth could in a million years you think that this is something I would consider doing? And we went back and forth. She said something to the effect of like, you know, nothing is getting resolved in this capacity when you guys are just going back and forth on Twitter. It's like, I don't care. I'm not trying to resolve anything. I keep calling it out because I think that he's a bad person. And end of story. I think he's a bad person. I think he's harmful to the community at large. So when he does shit, I'm just going to say something about it. And I think that, like, you know, he's railroading basically any progress that could be made in the streaming sphere as a whole. And she just kind of replies like, well, I think it would make a really good podcast. It's like, yeah, for you. You guys are irrelevant. You're getting 1,500 views per show. I don't know why you keep going back to this. It's like Stockholm Syndrome. Like, why on earth would you keep returning to this man? It doesn't make any sense. But he does seem to have that pull. He pulled Christian out of here. You don't see him here anymore, do you? Nope. Absolutely not. He's very loyal to that Hustler brand. And it all started because I suggested that they should take a fucking weekend off and get their shit in order. To which my guy here is like, nah, man, I need them seats. I think you're wrong. And Nick is right. And it turned into a huge falling out over that, right? Now he's, got comment? Where are the seats? Where are the seats, bro? When are you going to play? When are you going to fucking cash in for licking those boots?
He's on the list. He's on the list.
He's on the list. Well, the good news is he's going to get in sooner or later because they're running out of fucking players. That's abundantly clear. The last 4 episodes, no one spoke English, including Airball. What the fuck is going on here? You know, you're going to run out of people to back you because the shady people are just like worried about their own at this point. Blank Check Ben's disappearing from the ether. He's made a big enough ass of himself in the public sphere at this point that he can't possibly come back. Now, Airball enjoys being a fucking doormat, I guess.
I don't know, man.
Well, he's running out of money.
He's running out of something. He looked fucking miserable the other day on the stream. He looked super fucking withered. Like it was all over for him.
What did he get in return? He embarrassed himself for an entire year.
Lost $1 million.
Lost $1 million to me and then many millions elsewhere. And what has he gotten in return? Nothing. Where's the loyalty? Where's the him being the next Garrett? Where are all the soft seats and the free money for Airball? I don't see him. He's a patsy. He's just getting kicked around. He's like a can getting kicked down the alley until he runs out of cash and he's not useful to them anymore. He's dispensable. Yeah. Everybody on that show is. And nobody gets it yet. We'll see what happens whenever Commerce launches. We'll see how fast people start to jump ship. Right? And then what happens? Then we turn the fucking page.
Oh, then we turn on Twitter Spaces and we hear about loyalty.
Yeah, don't worry. They're all going to be fine. They're all going to be fine whenever this is all said and done. Last thing I said to Veronica was, there's no chance that Nick has heard a single word with an open mind from anybody since this entire scandal started 15 months ago. He's just all up in his feels. And she said, I understand your point. I just thought it'd be an interesting one to discuss. So it's very clear to me that even people who are within his sphere that are reasonable, rational, logical thinkers have given up on trying to get through.
Right.
And I imagine Ryan suffers from the same sort of frustrations where it's like you're partnered with this guy who's now made it a mission to be, as I quote, the next Dana White or Elon Musk and not give a fuck while he runs his business the way he wants. It's like, okay, bro, do it. But, you know, suffer the wrath of the talking heads while it happens. So, sure. Is he going to come back and say a bunch of shit? Fine. I don't care. No one has a cleaner closet than me, so I truly do not give a fuck. That's why I feel like I can come up here and say the shit that I say in order to hopefully make the place and the space that we all live and play in a little bit fucking cleaner. But, you know, maybe not. Maybe it's all for naught. And truthfully, I don't really care. I enjoy this.
I know. I can tell you're enjoying this right now.
I like being right, man. I like fucking being right. It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good to be on the right side of things. And I, by no means, get everything right. I get a lot of shit wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy to walk anything back.
Mm-hmm. Like that pan.
That pan. Oh.
He admitted that pan.
That's brilliant.
You fucked up with that pan.
First comment in yesterday's chat was that pan was going to die anyway. You know what? My guy knows.
Can I ask you to walk one thing back?
Sure.
I'm feeling a little weird about this thing you saying that Nick's a bad person, because I don't feel like, and I know you guys are going to say that Miguel's the apologist. I don't feel like he's a bad person. I feel like maybe he's just emotional and perhaps uninformed.
I think that's true. I don't think he's uninformed.
I don't think he's a bad guy.
He can't be uninformed. Everybody talks to him.
I definitely don't think he's uninformed. And I think it depends on how you're defining bad. So,
sure, like I'll tell you something that rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay.
When he talked about Garrett being on Grindr.
Yeah.
Like, clearly that has some homophobic
undertones.
You know what I mean? Like,
well,
to say that you're dissing someone because they're on a gay dating site. Like,
yeah. It's very like 1998.
Right.
Like, I'm going to call you
a fucked up thing to say.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And they called him out on it today, and he said, "Well, you know, I was drinking a little bit of whiskey, and I told Garrett that I was sorry."
Yeah.
Of course he has to do that.
Well, also,
I mean, he can't
like,
double down on it.
Also leaning on like, oh, I was drinking, so it's okay.
Yeah, like he's just like he's shirking responsibility.
Like, yeah, okay, if he was my granddad, I'd give him the pass, but he's not.
Okay.
So I guess I'm going to hold him to a bit of a standard here. I apologize. I understand what you're saying. Like, if you're taking the word bad and you're applying it to somebody who has malicious behavior that is like truly trying to cause harm to others, specifically like physical or financial, then yeah, I think maybe it's like a lot more gray, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't even know that though.
But like, I think he's bad in the sense of I think he's bad in the same way that I think like you know, people who fall into like hive mind are bad. And the only way I can, I guess, I can best describe it is that they are a net negative to the people who believe what they say or trust them, right? So I think that they cause harm to the people who put their trust into them. And sure, it may not be physical harm and it may not even be financial harm, but like there's a mental tax to be paid to believe somebody who believes their own bullshit and passes it off as fact, in spite of the fact that like they're just over emotional, they're overreactive, and more importantly, they do carry like some homophobic undertones or, you know, misogynistic undertones. Like there are a lot of things in his behavior that I don't agree with.
Time out. If I Google the man's name, there's nothing but real estate scamming that comes up. So like allegedly he is a bad person. Yeah. Like I don't know like too much about it, but like you could just Google shit.
Yeah,
figure it out yourself.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Like you can't necessarily run from your past. I don't know enough about that type of stuff. Like
same.
You know,
but still,
I'm sure that there are people out there that would imply that the academy is a scam. In which case, and yeah, like you know, Airball did, right? And you know, we went through that whole battle where we kind of had to disprove that. To your point, I don't know that he's really done much to prove that what he was doing wasn't a scam. But
I don't even think he talked about it.
But the other thing is that like, unless you can show me that it was actually like a Ponzi or something structural that was, you know, scamming people out of their money,
completely malicious.
Yeah, like if it was information being sold at a high price, it's hard to call that a scam because it's up to the consumer.
Yeah,
you know
he's going to twist this into saying you called him a real estate scammer.
I just hope. I just hope.
You know how he's going to like Berkey called me a real estate scammer.
It was Conrad first of all.
Well, it was Conrad, and Berkey was defending you, Nick. Okay, so
I don't care.
Get that straight.
I don't care what he tries to twist. If there are still people that after this show listen to the bullshit that comes out of his mouth with any level of trust or interest, then that's on them. Like there's no bringing them back. Like if you're still like championing for yes, thank you for Nick after Jack 4, after airball, after whatever you want to call the real estate stuff and everything. Like,
just after Googling his name.
At some point, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably not a fucking mongoose. You know? You know
like that classic saying, guys.
You ain't no mongoose, baby.
Everyone's heard that one.
You know
before.
what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm paraphrasing that off somebody who tweeted at me because I thought it was fucking hilarious. But yeah, like, it's probably a duck. So
it's not a monkey that throws shit at the wall.
Well,
right. So
we know who does.
It's just one of those things where it's like, look, I'm gonna keep doing me. He's gonna keep doing him. We're gonna have our own little collectives that ride the ride and believe whatever they believe. And that's fine. I'm happy for it. Like, but this whole like bullshitty facade of like, let's bury the hatchet and like, I don't have to like them to this, that, or that. It's like, bro, let's not forget the fucking day one when Jack 4 happened, you called me scrambling. I effectively wrote the initial fucking statement that Hustler put out that night. The PR statement, because this guy is a fucking bird brain and has no idea how to run a business. Right? And like, yeah, I'm not Garrett. I'm not going to be PC. Like, I know one of the first things he said in space is like, I did not call you stupid because I don't attack people, yada, yada. Well, like, I'll get in the mud. Like, when someone's a bird brain about something, you call them a fucking bird brain. And if you can't put out a simple PR statement when shit happens, if you can't shut your stream down when something like that happens because you don't want to lose the audience, like, if you can't make these calls in real time, it's very difficult to like admire you as a quote unquote leader and businessman, as an industry leader and all these other things. So yeah, man, I'm out here. I'm on my soapbox and I'm fucking stating my opinion, which is all I've been doing for 15 months. And I understand that hurts your feelings and you don't like it, but I'm entitled to it. So what the fuck do we care? You know? I don't watch any of the shit you put out, but sometimes it gets thrown my way. And sometimes I see that you're dragging me along with WPT along it. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to address that. I'm going to go ahead and address that because they're a big fucking mover in this industry. And I'm not going to have my name aligned with some sort of ultimate failure that was true. We did fail, but not the way that he's making it sound. Like, I'm going to tell the actual story, not the Nick Vertucci narrative.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the right way to fucking go about this.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Shit's been popping, and that's how we end the year.
The famous words of Henry Kilbane. Take a day off, mate.
Take a
fucking day off, boys.
Fireworks started before New Year's this year.
You know?
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so, man. I don't think you missed anything.
I double check it. Take a second to make sure you didn't miss anything.
No, Henry, you haven't been around for a while. Are there any holes you need to fill in there?
I think I'm caught up, bud.
Yeah? You ready for the snowboarding trip or what?
I am indeed, my man.
I'm excited for it, man. Get me the fuck out of here. We are going to be going on about a 10-day hiatus. We're going to come back January 3rd, new and improved. We got a lot to announce for you guys. Big year coming ahead in 2024. We're going to be back with the In the Muck segment whenever we get around to it next week, 2 weeks from now.
Weekend Warrior will be revamped.
Weekend Warrior apparently is going to be revamped just in time for the season to be over. So be sure to stay tuned for that.
It's time for baseball season, baby. Go Buccos.
Pray with all you have while we're on our hiatus that the Steelers win their next 2 games. Please, sweet baby Jesus. I don't want to get slapped by a goddamn con man. Okay.
A fucking over-raking fucking...
Imagine Connie the con man has a ring to it.
Connie the con man does have a ring to it.
These claws are going to hit you, man.
Imagine getting slapped in the face by a literal rake.
Right.
I'm not here for it, man.
You know those hands are big as much rake he was taking out of the pot.
That's
you know
true.
it's going to hurt, man.
That is true. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody. Don't forget you can get your Solve for Why merch. Just hit hashtag merch in the chat or click the link below. Don't forget about the Academy. We have January 15th to the 17th. Don't worry. It's not real money, so nobody can cheat you there. It's fine. It's just for learning purposes. And finally, don't forget that we are releasing a new episode of Poker Out Loud every Monday now through, I believe, mid-March. So be sure to sign up for solveforwhy.io if you haven't already. We got a lot in store in 2024. We'll be coming back with a bang. Wednesday, January 3rd, full crew in tow. Everyone have a happy holiday.
Happy holidays,
Happy
guys.
New
Thanks
Year.
for rocking
We'll
with
see you
us.
guys then.
Peace.
Peace.